Hey guys, here we are again. Welcome to week 2, Tally the Votes, Survivor Australia, season 10. Um, Not as much action as week 1, but it's been nice to see the other tribe. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this week in Australia?
As always, I think it was great to see, like you say, to see the heroes and actually be able to start forming some opinions about some of them. That's fun.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I,
amazing when there's 2 tribes and you actually get to see what's happening in the other tribe.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I got to say that even a lame week in Australia is better than most weeks in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
sure,
it it's a good time. There's
fair.
good
That's fair.
company. One thing that my overall take that I have, I mean, from watching the other season I have, and then this one especially, we might have 2 different tribes with very opposite spectrum titles, but for the most part thus far, when they have competitions, everybody does seem to be a good sport and just kind of enjoy being all together as a group. So it makes it kind of more fun to watch. That's
well,
one of the big things I've noticed. They're really fun to watch in competitions. Um, Super
because
competitive but supportive.
but they're
Hmm.
all nice. It's like going to Canada. Everyone's nice to each other, right? It's like, oh, good job, mate.
It's like
Yeah,
even when
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
not nice, because
Yeah.
George is not nice, but
Right,
even
right.
though he's still nice,
He's like
Yeah,
really
right?
polite and
When he's
yeah.
yeah.
yeah, when he's confronting them and trying to make them think they're crazy, he's still being nice.
Yeah, that's what makes it professional.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, he's
if
a little sociopath.
I should recommend you if you're not going to watch George's first season, go and watch the final tribal
Oh no, I'm going
because you,
back to
you
watch
you
it
know
all.
what happened, right?
Nope,
He
no clue.
got well, he got to the final two,
Right.
Right,
We
and
and
we
he
know
did
Haley
that he
beat
not,
him.
got,
and
and
he
yeah,
did not win. And he had played to that point the best game I had ever seen or heard about. I mean, it just was unbelievable. They were gunning for him every single vote, and he got to the final two.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had great allies who like used idols for him. I mean, it was amazing. And then he gets there and he just imploded in the final tribal. It was like he had no sense of the
Oh,
jury at all.
he
that
just
happens to a lot of first timers.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. We talk about it in this. We talk about it in Big Brother. There are some really really key components to winning these competitions, and the biggest one is jury management.
Hmm.
2, you better know how to start a fire quickly. If you
Well,
don't,
Right?
and yeah, and the growth of this man's game is incredible because he never really had an alliance the first time around. And
no.
now
Right.
he's like, I mean, no one's even really trying to get him except for one guy.
Well, and let's talk about Simon, shall we? Because there, you know what? For those out there who know, they know. But I discovered something about my thoughts of Simon this week, and that is that he is like the Mac of the island. So if you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you will quickly understand the comparison that I'm making. But he walks around and thinks that he is top dog and just 100% right and the strongest, the most alpha, the most intelligent, the best friend, the best guy. He knows everything. And the people that are closest to him are like pulling back in a big way, right?
Hmm.
Jordy's already going, I'm not sure this is going to work. So, what do you guys think about like the direction his game's going? Do you think he's going to be able to turn it around by merge, or is he
I
up a
think it
river?
might. I think it might actually help him better if people start to doubt him, because if they were still blindly following him, I think he's a bigger target. But since so many are kind of like, and others are seeing that, maybe it makes him less
Mhm.
powerful,
That's a really
regardless of what he thinks of himself.
Yeah, that's a really really good point because much like Mac, he thinks that he's all of these things, but those around
Right.
him are like, "Oh, there's that guy again."
I just think for a second time player, his game lacks any nuance at all. I mean, does it really matter
I
if he
haven't
gets
seen his
George
first
out?
season, and I can agree with this.
Well, he went
Uh,
home with two idols. Two idols.
right,
Yeah.
and now he has this other thing burning a
And by the
hole in
way,
his
George
pocket.
did orchestrate his blind side, and it was delicious. Although, honestly, if you watch it, he should have seen it coming, and he had no clue.
He
Yeah,
didn't.
Well,
Right,
and he's
because
got the
nothing's
tunnel
filtering
vision.
through.
Tunnel vision, and I'm assuming he probably had some version of tunnel vision in his first game, and now it's on George. But you've got somebody who's like Stevie, who he has an alternative motive. He has a person he has a little bit of vision about taking out, but he's not stuck on it, right? He's willing to move and bend
And he
And
in
bide
also
this.
his time. Yeah.
realizes that she may be the most powerful person on that tribe right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's just going to lay back. He'll wait for the merge because he played really hyper aggressive the first time.
Right. Well, and he was kind of the dug into everything, and didn't he like wasn't he always kind of like a swing vote? Is that kind of how his game went?
No, he was totally transparent with who he wanted
Was
to
he?
get out, and he was loud about it. And so he put a target on his back. And I mean, they voted him out relatively quick. I mean, he was like fourth or fifth, I think. He wasn't around long.
Okay, so he didn't really have a lot of game to play last time.
No, and he was way too in people's face. And
Gotcha.
Because I keep wondering why he's on the villains tribe, because I don't really see him as a villain, but that
I
makes
know.
sense.
Yeah,
he sees himself. He sees himself as a villain. Especially
Okay.
if you'd seen him the first time. He's like, oh, I'm going to cut people's throat. I'm going to do this.
And
I'm going
it's
to do
not
that.
Wow.
We've got a lot of people that are like embracing physical violence on this tribe, right? Cutting throats, pushing models down the stairs. Like it's
Right?
not to be messed with.
They're tougher in Australia.
But hey, I gotta give it to she's Shauna. I gotta say when she was like Shawnee, when she was like, the difference is you've got, I mean, to paraphrase, you've got one tribe that considers themselves heroes, but they are just the same as we are. It's just that we embrace being a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and she's playing for a third time, and you can just tell. She is head and shoulders above every single player except George.
I can tell she's definitely got finesse in the right places. Like she knows where to step in and where to back off. And she's been really great at just planting little seeds, just little notes here and there. So,
and if I recall correctly, she made final 3 last time, but
she's a little terrifying. I know we talked about this last week, but like legit, they need to watch her.
But she wasn't the first 2 times. She was kind of just there. So she's playing a lot more this time. She's learned. There's no doubt.
Well, and she knows to hide behind George. Is her
she's
plan.
Got she's got a much bigger target to set in front of her while she does what she needs.
Hiding behind George, she's hiding behind George and Jordy and Simon, and nobody wants her out. No one's even talking about her except for
Stevie. But she knows,
except for Stevie.
But she knows that George will be the one that when he's gone, it could be her because she said it in her confessionals, right? So as long as he's there, no one's saying let's get George out. She's like, I'm still good because.
Yeah, I gotta think the whole thing is gonna eventually be returnees against new players.
These kind of mashups do tend to. It does tend to happen, but it does seem like it usually happens a lot earlier if it's going to happen. Right off the bat.
At the merge, I could see Haley jumping over and aligning with George and Shawnee and Jordy.
I definitely think that we'll get to it, but I think it's going to greatly depend on what happens with Jerry, where everything moves at merge. Yeah. We'll get to Jerry because that's exciting.
Have you heard what they're doing? Because I know I got spoiled.
No, I haven't. But when we get to that episode, I want you to tell us where you think that's headed from what you've heard. Okay. So, our first challenge, we've got a pizza party. We've got some version of rugby going on. That was a lot of fun to watch. That was so fun to watch.
It was.
I love when we get our professionals up there. We've got the real deal rugby players up there, and everyone just stops the game they're playing because, here's a superstar doing what they do. Right. It was really cute.
Well, everyone's just like, oh my God. Because that would have been really embarrassing.
Yeah, just a little bit. But that one was really fun to watch. And again, like we're talking about, they're kind of picking on each other in the competition, but in such a fun, high-spirited way. It makes it more fun for the viewers to watch, I think. But our pizza that we get can't be cooked because we don't have a fire.
before we go to the pizza is they sat for that challenge. They sat Nina, Haley, and
Yep.
Ben. And
Yep.
I wrote down who was sat each
Sitting out.
time. And it's interesting because Nina likes to sit a lot. She's got a little of her mother's game.
Oh,
So I thought she
well,
would be a
right.
physical threat, and I don't think she is. I think
Well, and
she's
after you lose your options in the game due to an injury,
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like that's really going to make you hold back. And her
Yeah.
mom never had to be super physical to win her games. She didn't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, not hold back, but not hold back the whole game, but just go like, I don't want to get injured again. I need to get farther in this game.
also,
I can
there's
see her being careful.
something. There's also something to not like allowing the big targets to be the targets and not coming in and
Mm.
leveling up to the targets physically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
yeah,
sit
she
out.
might. She
Yeah.
could be holding back, but I don't think so. I don't think she's as physically strong as I thought. But who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when she actually has to, when she doesn't have the option to sit out anymore, or we start doing individual. We're going to
Right.
see. I have a
I can't
feeling
wait.
that she can hold on to something for a long, long time, though. I feel like she's going to be great in
But she's
any
not
of
gonna.
those.
She's never gonna beat Haley with that.
Yeah, Haley's really great at endurance. Yeah.
And she was in her season. And if you would have seen the final tribal for Haley's season was absolutely brutal. That's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it. But it was brutal, and she hung in there. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I liked when she decided that, going into our next challenge, our immunity challenge, it was hanging over the water. She's doing her little stretches, her like really elegant yoga stretches, and then just drops. And everyone's like, yeah, right. Like instantly, everyone's like, no. Mm-mm. So clearly they know what she's capable
Well,
of.
she said she was going to throw it
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
to
she was like,
Sean and some other
yeah,
people.
can we like
Mhm.
play with the idea of that? Right. Yeah.
I liked that she did it. I don't think she should have told anybody.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because you know what you just told everyone? You're now capable of throwing a challenge.
Yeah. And she's just showing some cards that she didn't need to show.
Yeah, and I was watching a podcast.
Especially, well, look at, right? Sean said as soon as he realized she was being really savvy on how to navigate this and how to manipulate the game, that's when he was like, wait a minute. And suddenly I remember who
Mhm.
she is and what she's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it pays to be a lone wolf in this game.
Well, and I think there's a stigma to it too. I was watching a podcast with Brooke on it. Now, was Brooke on last year? No, but Brooke is the same kind of petite but super strong. She was like, what was the gal's name who was aligned with Ricard?
Shit, I can't remember.
You know who
I'm having a brain fart, but yeah.
Anyhow, she was that same kind of tough. Yeah. And she was that same kind of tough. And Brooke just is like, I could never throw a challenge, and I can't really respect somebody who would. So I think there's people that feel that way. So if you're going to throw the challenge, tell
You don't
no
want anyone
one. It's
to
like
know.
getting an idol. Tell no one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it is sort
Because
of looked at. It's looked
and
at.
it's such a gamble too.
Yeah. It's a huge gamble. And when you've got people, one thing that this show loves is competitors. So the majority of the people around you are competitors.
Especially
competitors
Australians.
don't, yes.
The
and they don't like the idea of, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Intentionally not win? What?
So why are you even
why
there?
would I do that?
Yeah,
What an
exactly.
absurd thing to say.
That's not cricket, mate.
It's not how we play the game. So we've got Simon back at camp thinking he's clever. I mean, nothing new there. We've got Jerry and I knew we were going to go somewhere with Jerry in the next episode or two because we started getting a lot of Jerry's storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was happening, and I really like Jerry. I do.
Remember I picked him as my
I
dark
like
horse.
him. I have some faith. So okay, we've got cold pizza. Can't heat that up. Frozen pizza.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Why did
We're
they
gonna
do
eat
that?
it anyway.
That just seemed
That
ridiculously
sucks so
cruel.
bad. Yeah,
Right?
there's no reason for that.
Yeah, I.
And why did they try to cook it?
Well, they didn't have a fire up that they could
they don't have a fire.
easily get in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and okay. Also, here's the thing. I was like, oh, this pizza party looks legit. Like these pizzas actually look really
They're
edible.
not Jeff Probst Survivor
They're not
pizza.
Jeff pizzas. These are like the real deal, right? And then they get there and they open them and they're like, not so much. That doesn't work. But I do love that Paige was like, hey, cool, there's ice at the bottom of this. Score.
Yeah.
Like we get ice.
And do you think they should at least hide the coup a little bit? They just open a box and it's there.
Yeah.
That
But
was weird.
Oh yeah.
But Sam, right? That gets it. I mean, like he
Mhm.
kind of shimmied it out there somewhat successfully. I mean, nobody was all like, Sam's got something.
Right.
Well, what's
So
funny is Sam finds the clue, tells Sean, who goes and finds the idol.
Mhm.
yep. Stop
Do
telling
people never
folks.
watch the show?
They
Sam's
can't
played
help
before.
themselves. I think the hardest
Because
thing
they
in
think they're
Survivor is learning.
heroes.
Yes. But I really, guys, I think every season that we've watched, we've watched together, we always are bringing up, stop telling people what you have, stop telling people what you have. But I think that means it is the hardest thing to do in Survivor.
The only time to tell people you have it is if you don't have it,
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
right?
okay,
Because
but
then
then
you're
you
throwing it out
also,
there.
but then you have to do that in a specific way, because otherwise we jump into like the silly idea, the silly notion that Benjamin had, right? Like, hey, I'm going to make this fake idol in front of everybody, and this is going to buy me trust because we can
Literally,
use this as a way to manipulate somebody else. And they're
but
like, what are
literally
you
not a
doing?
secret at all. Like, how is he being?
Like,
How do they think he's being sneaky when he's
I know
literally doing it?
it was so
But
funny
still, they
because it's like,
were paranoid. I didn't understand that at
but
all.
I mean, because they were looking for any reason to be able to
Yeah.
separate one person
Well,
from the pack,
if Haley would have been smart on the wanting to throw it so they would go to tribal, then she should have planted the idea that they were not going to have fire until they went to tribal, because
Yep.
they had no flint because the other team took it, right?
Yep,
So they
yep.
go, guys, we have to go to tribal. We have to, whether we want to or not. We need fire. Then
Yep.
the pizza would have proved that we can't even eat our freaking reward, right?
Yeah. It would have been
So-
it would have been better than just like, oh, look at how dangerous I am
Right.
because I'm plotting.
Because
Yeah.
as soon as they go to tribal, they all thought it was going to be the super easy tribal vote out, and it was. And you knew you had that going for you, so you just sell it that way.
Well, and sometimes the production, the editing, they tried to like make it seem like Sean was going after Haley, but I wasn't
Yeah.
buying it
Yeah.
for a heartbeat.
No, because there was little moments of all like, well, of course, that's going to be one of the people that you talk about being on your list because they were a winner. So it's
Sure.
an easy topic to get storyline out of.
Right.
But when you have somebody like Rogue, and it's the first time that this tribe who gets along is going to go, of course it's going to be Rogue. Of course it is.
Read? She has
was
a
so
documentary
clueless.
coming out on Netflix, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, does
And
she?
so she was on the show to promote.
Try and
that
promote.
was
Exactly.
her intent.
Okay. All right. Hey, you know what? Noble, the work that she does, I appreciate that she can do that, but she obviously spends a lot of time having to be pushy, aggressive.
Or she spends a lot of time alone.
I don't
Like,
think.
yeah,
I
a
just
lot
don't
of
think
time
she's
alone.
self-aware.
Not interactive.
I just don't
Yeah.
think she understands how she comes off to people.
Yep. Yes. So, hero she is, but not anyone else, apparently.
Well,
on
and
the
then-
tribe.
So
And then
weird.
I was sort of happy that Nina called her out for her bullshit before
Yes.
she went home.
Yes, go Nina.
And
As
it wasn't
she should have.
necessary, so I think I think Nina did it to make a point because she was
And
going home
Nina-
either way.
And Nina had several reasons to call her out, and she called her out on the being mean to her when she said it was on the East Coast, North
Yeah.
Carolina on the East
Yeah.
Coast.
Right? It was
She
was
didn't bring up the
definitely-
African American
You're
thing,
right.
and that's the thing she could
Yep.
have used very easily.
Yeah.
So she was
But
kind
she was
to her by using the thing that was not as hot.
And
you know?
she was also bringing up something that anybody else that was sitting there could relate to
could relate. Mhm.
in the correct way.
Exactly. That
So
was really
everybody
smart. Go
that
Nina.
heard her, everyone that heard her had no question in mind of that was offensive. Period. The end. So go Nina. So we've got Rogue out, and now we're moving into our next episode. Let's see, what do we get for our competitions on on the second one? I don't know that I liked it as much as the first.
The episode opened with Jordy flirting with the idea of aligning with George.
Okay, like
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's big. That's
yeah,
big.
doing their little chatty chat. But here's the thing: the best is that him and Mitch sitting there, like just saying the things that they want to say. That little like clip,
Yeah.
like sometimes I just want to be an a-hole, you know. Like, I, it was the best like 3 minutes this show is going to give us. It was so great.
Have you been watching? If you go to Ken Play on Facebook, there's a bunch of secret scenes and
Oh,
I watched him last season. I have not watched any from this season, and
yeah,
I
there's a
wa-
hilarious one.
watching the little bit between him and Mitch makes me
Yeah.
think that
But
I need to get over there and
Jordy
watch
is playing a smart game. He is staying under the radar because he was
Mhm.
like so front and center
them.
Mhm.
last season.
But
If you
but
think about
here's
it.
the
But you know
thing:
what?
Jordy
I-
was not front and center until Jesse's idol got mishandled, and
Mhm.
then he made the Jordy
And
show.
then
But
and it was
even
like
he,
everybody
he cut
looked
his
at.
hair off. He became nondescript.
But he was
Yep.
kind of like that last year, except for I mean, but when everyone looked at him, like you said, when the idol was, there was like the whole room turned at him. Well, if they're all looking at him anyway,
Yeah.
he might as well just play it up. You can't
Yeah.
hide from it.
Well,
And
and
if you
he
get
does
defensive
have
about it, it just proves them more,
he
right?
has George there, and I mean George is he is going to be the guy that sucks all of that attention
Mm-hmm.
at this the first
but
point of the
boy,
game.
is he playing a good game.
He
Mm-hmm.
is. I can't say.
I
I mean,
love
he
him.
should have been gone the very first vote. It's the same thing like when Boston Rob
No,
came on. I go,
George
how
should
does
have
he
been
get
first
past
vote.
the first vote?
I think that's what he's saying. Yeah, George. Yep.
Oh, George, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but I feel the same way with him that I do every time Boston Robbery appears. Vote him out week
See,
one.
I don't
Why
feel
would
that
you
way.
keep him?
I feel more scared by George. George to me
Do you?
seems more, yeah. Like Rob is more because he's got that smile. That
Well, the secret
George
to Rob's game is he just finds the three girls who find him attractive and aligns with him, and they do whatever
And
he
then
Rob
says.
never lets anybody alone.
Yeah.
when
Ever.
Rob's talking to you and smiles at you, it seems cheeky. It seems fun. Do you know what I mean? He's
Yep.
playing with you.
Yep.
When
Yep.
George smiles at you, it looks freaking psychotic.
But
But
the
he's
girls
gonna
love
gut.
him. The girls on
Yeah,
this
and he's
tribe
just-
absolutely love him.
Yep.
And if you watch this extra scene where they put on a pageant,
Oh, that's fun.
oh, it's hilarious. And
That's
Jordy and George
Oh, no,
are the
George-
only dudes that play.
Hey,
And
George
George
is scares the crap out of me.
hilarious.
Sorry, I'm so scared of him.
see, and that's the thing why in my hopes, honestly, in my hopes of hopes, what I really want to see happen down the road is I really want to watch Shawnee and George go after each other because I just think it will be an amazing.
But I don't think they will.
Show to
See,
watch.
I think the final three is going to come down to Haley, Shawnee, and George. They're going to align and they're going to be unbeatable.
You think so? And you think that they will actually take each other to the end? Like they will keep that bond there together? To the end?
Okay, so we're not there yet. I have a question
Okay.
about the.
So, but
We're
anyhow,
getting ourselves all
during
tied
this
up.
extra scene that I saw,
Yes.
when Paige is running the fake Miss Australia, and George does the whole catwalk, and she goes,
Oh,
"I
okay.
hate George in the game," but she goes, "But I love him."
Gotcha.
Okay.
You know,
Everybody
it
at
was
home went,
really
"Yep."
funny.
Well, you
Yep.
said last week that we might hate him now, but we're going to grow to love him.
By the
And I
end,
don't know. I'm so scared of him.
hated him so
I don't
bad
know.
at the
Maybe that's
beginning.
part of the turn. Because last week I was like, ugh, I don't like this guy. This week
He's
I was
like
just
a
scared.
fungus. He grows on you, and by the end, you're like, "I love him." But
I'm starting to root for him. Wait a minute.
I never want to play. I never
But
want
he
to
is
play this game against him.
No, he's absolutely psychotic. If
Yeah.
people in real life know him, they need to like be very, very careful.
Watch him with one eyebrow,
Well,
right?
you know what he does for a living, right? He's a political operative.
Oh,
Well,
He
that's
works
what
for
I
the
love. I was wondering because that whole comment, like, I hope I never have to hear you talk about politics again. Like,
I didn't understand. I was like, does he talk
Yeah.
about that?
He
I
made
guess they
a
haven't shown it.
big
That makes
deal
sense.
about that
okay, all
in the
right.
first season, and the
All right.
Macedonian Jesus.
That I figured because, man, that was camped up straight off the bat.
Yeah.
So, okay, we get a bakery bonanza for our reward. But then when we win this reward, then only one person is in charge of dictating who gets what.
And that was,
taste.
again, just like the frozen pizza, it was like a reward with a slap in the face. Now that you got
Also,
a reward again, now we're gonna slap you in
also,
the face. So just to stir the pot and create drama.
yes. And then
Oof.
Australia is great at that. But can we also
Mm.
say that this is what a fire challenge should look like? Like this was an amazing
Yes.
Well,
challenge.
that's the immunity challenge. We're
No,
still
yeah, that's
talking
not this
about
one.
the
This one was the
Yeah, the
passing the
rewards.
coconuts,
about the
the
Yes.
reward.
football.
We have
Sam played
these
it smart.
great challenges that come in, but this is the thing. It's like we get a creative challenge, and then it's always like this simple, like if you get this, then you're going to win this, right?
Right.
And then they get to go have their luxury item, and it usually comes with such a twist that it like with Sam, it's like this could be problematic.
I
This could
Well, and
cause a
know.
problem.
you know what's going to come next at some point is I think it's after the merge. They'll do a thing. They win a food reward, but they have to determine who's going to go first. They send them one at a time, and there's always an idol hidden there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they like trash the food. It's
yeah,
every season it goes on.
yeah. It's
Can you eat food while you're looking for the idol?
They sit and like shove donuts in their mouth while they're.
Because they have like a
well,
certain amount of time.
But there was a
right?
nacho one, and the guy's like just digging through it. The next person's eating the nachos. It was
just
gross.
picking up behind him. Now, I see this chocolate cake. I don't know if you guys went there, but as soon as I saw that chocolate cake, I was looking at Twitter for Omer to be tweeting about the dangers of a chocolate cake because it cost him his game.
Yep.
So
Well,
look out for the chocolate cake.
so did Chris Kattan, right? He couldn't stay away from the chocolate cake.
Oh,
Okay,
Chris.
I just
Oh,
want to know how
we
Chris
love you so
Kattan
much.
got the edibles into the Big Brother house. 'Cause
I just love you so much, Chris.
Just him just getting up in the middle of the
every
night.
time I
and
think of
sleep
Chris
eating.
Kattan, I want to start.
He had
Oh,
another
that
surgery.
thing
Like
he
he had
did.
to have another surgery after he
Oh,
left the
no.
show. So yeah, I think he really did hurt himself on that fall. Totally different
Oh,
show.
but Chris,
chocolate
we're
cake
sending our
beware.
love to you. Gosh, poor Chris. Kattan.
Chris, we love you. You cracked us up.
Yeah,
Yep.
we love
Yep. He's
You
he's
were the
living his
reason
best
to watch the feeds that year.
you. 100%.
so much. So much.
So yeah,
So
that
we've got
hopefully
Bakery
this won't bite.
Bonanza.
Uh-huh.
And I think
And
Sam
then-
played that perfectly. He took the hit.
He did. Yeah.
He had
he did.
to.
Yeah.
He had to.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
He was the right
But
personality to have to do it.
if
It
he
would
would
not have
ate the
worked well for
chocolate cake, do you think they would have voted him out for it? I don't think so.
not
they're
at this
Australian,
point
they're
in the
nice.
game. Not at this point in the game, but if it was like down to final 6, you bet. You bet they
So
would.
what would be how could you do that without any blowback? Do you like line all the contestants up by weight and then food biggest to large to smallest and go like, because technically some people need more calories than others. Would that
This
be
is what
fair?
you do. This is what you do. You get a piece of charcoal or sand and you draw your number in the sand and then you start making
Mm.
people pull a number, because if you're going to have to dictate who gets what, maybe the best way is to let the fates decide. But of course that could turn on you too, because if there's somebody who's really, really hungry and everyone knows that person is really struggling and you don't give them, again,
Yeah.
people will look for anything. They will look for anything.
And
So
I gotta say, if you're out there, a slice of bread is probably a treat.
It is a treat, and it's not probably going to make you too sick later on. Because some of those, when
I
you're
know,
not
I'm
eating
kind of
regularly,
thinking like, tummy aches bad.
Yeah,
'Cause,
can you
like,
imagine
okay,
you
so
eat
you
that whole
gotta-
chocolate cake?
no, you're going to be sick tomorrow. Now you can't
Oh,
perform
you're gonna
the
be
next,
sick, and you're gonna be at the whatever hole they have in the ground to do
or
your
in the
business quite a
ocean all
bit.
day long. Ugh.
Yep. Just hanging
And
out
so-
on
Oh,
Turn
That's
Island,
where they do
everybody.
it in the ocean. That's gross too.
And so, like, yeah, is it a blessing or a curse? I don't know. You want enough, but you don't want to bombard your system because your system can't take that.
Well, it's like when
And
they
then-
get these challenges and they win steak dinners,
Yeah.
like that's like the last thing you need to
Yeah.
be eating when your stomach is eating.
Or they drink all that alcohol, and you're like, guys, you're in the heat. You should not be drinking like that. You're going to be dehydrating yourself.
Yep,
Just saying.
it's gonna be bad.
But they get unlimited water, so that's all good.
Yes. So okay. So we've got our immunity challenge coming up, and that's where we get our fire. Our
the
fire.
bonfire, the big
challenge.
bonfire. I
And
love
the
that one.
push the heavy cart.
Mhm.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the heroes were really struggling on pushing that.
Well,
And
2
see-
seasons ago when they did it, somebody loaded the cart so much they couldn't move it anymore. So they had to take
See,
stuff off
that's
the
like
cart.
a major danger going into the
Right.
second part of it. Like, you gotta
Right.
be careful
That's
not
what's
to overload
wonderful.
it.
This is one of the things I love about their challenges is oftentimes there's a thinking component, even in a physical challenge like that,
Yep.
right? You have to
Yep.
go like, okay, do we want to go this strategy or that strategy? Because we
Yep.
don't want to wear ourselves out that it takes us forever to get there to build our bonfire and they
Yep.
speed past it. You know, you have to think. You have to really determine what's going to be best for your
Well, and
strategy.
when you look at challenges, especially when you've got somebody that is almost 7 foot tall and there's a key hanging up high,
Yeah.
and that's not your teammate, the brain power that has to quickly come in and say who's going on whose shoulders, who's most likely
Why
to reach
did they
that, who's
even
going to do
tie?
this.
Why did they even tie the thing? Why didn't they just grab a girl and have Sean lift her?
They really could have. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest, they probably could have made it happen because he is so tall. But
I
it
think
makes
they
me
played
wonder though,
horribly.
do you think that, I mean, I guess it's fair in the sense that you go to the next challenge and having that height could really work
Well,
against you.
getting
So,
under the
like
getting
Oh,
balancing, crawling
underneath the
under.
when you have to go crawl under the log. He's
Yeah.
so big,
Yeah.
it's gonna
or
he's
under
really gonna have
the
to
under
dig
the net. Now he was smart. He used
under the net.
himself to raise the net for everybody, which is brilliant.
Oh man, there was a lot of crying and whining under that net because that looks ouch.
But I thought the heroes played this particular challenge terribly. It's like they needed a
They,
leader. It's like
yep.
they weren't watching what the other team was doing. It's like you got to
Mhm.
move at some point.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
rough, but it was a great challenge to watch. Getting that fire going, everything
Who
coming
started the
up.
fire? Do you remember?
Stevie,
Yep. And did you see how fast he started that flame?
because Stevie's the man.
He's
Stevie's the man,
awesome.
and they
No,
should
because
never.
Stevie learned you got to make fire.
Yeah, they shouldn't doubt him. They
Yep.
shouldn't doubt his skills. The man knows a puzzle, and the man knows a fire. But yeah, I really enjoyed watching that challenge too. These challenges this week have all been great. They really have.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're going to head into tribal with this group. Now, this is where we get another really fun twist, right? So they are told that, hey,
Well,
you guys are electing whoever you're going to vote for is going to have to go in as a spy, basically.
and by the way, this is a twist they do every year.
Okay.
This is the only time they've ever said the person can come back.
Ooh,
So normally
okay, so
it's you're voting
Well,
somebody
because-
to go to the other team, and that's the end.
Right, because last season it was you're right. She got voted off, but like she's joining the other team.
Right.
And
Now
that-
that literally happened every season from
Right.
1 to 7 or whatever.
so now so that's why they'll totally believe Jerry's with them. They won't believe that he's gonna
Correct.
go.
They have no idea that he's going to
Now,
be the option.
two questions.
Cool twist.
First question. Do you think that they made a mistake not listening to Paige?
No.
Should they have taken Paige's volunteer more seriously?
No, because Paige would have been easy for the villains to vote out.
They made a lot of really good points
True.
with her. I literally am still on the fence about it because they made a lot of really good points with her.
Yes.
I also feel that if someone volunteers, you are securing a stronger chance that they won't turn around and betray you. Because they volunteered, there was no slight.
Not only did she
And I
volunteer,
thought-
but she said she was 100% loyal to them, and they all believed that she was
Yeah.
no way she was going to go. And also, but they had these points for her, but they never came up with what will she tell them if they try to
Exactly.
see. She needed a story, and they didn't come up with that right then. If she had come up and said, "Listen, I'm just going to tell them that I was upset that you guys voted Rogue out," because at this point they don't know anything about the other tribe.
Right. Yep.
But I thought Sam was awful during this tribal. He was mean to Jerry. There was no reason to behave the way he was behaving.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. Jerry has some downfalls as far as the tribe goes in competitions right now with an injury. I can see why their thought of sending Jerry over makes the most sense from the villain's point of view. But when here's where
From
it
the
becomes a
hero's point of
problem.
view.
Yeah, sorry. But where it becomes a problem is when you're the one who gets voted to do this, and you have someone sitting next to you who volunteers, and they say no because we want you to come back. You're
That
sending
was
somebody
jacked up,
over who needs who now knows that I walk in, these guys are embracing me. They're telling me I'm important. I'm going to make it further with them in this game.
Right.
I'm
Which is what is
wondering
what's going to
if
happen.
That's why Sam's strategy was so stupid. He said, Jerry,
yes.
we love you. You're injured. Please go do this for the tribe. This is how you could be a benefit to us.
Yeah.
And you could have
That's
sold
a better
it that
sell.
way,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Right? You know, this is what you can do for us because you can't help us win a challenge right now. So go over there.
This is
Right.
the way you can be the
love you.
most
We're not
effective
gonna
for
vote
us.
you out.
Mhm.
Especially if you were to bring up, we all know what a threat George is going to be for everyone here when we make merge. You are the
Right.
only person here that I think could break through to George
Right.
and get his ear.
Right.
Yeah, that
Give
would have
him
been
that
amazing.
credit before he goes. But now instead what they've done is they've hurt someone's feelings, they tossed him overboard, and this other group is embracing him. And I'm kind of wondering if the next twist on this isn't going to be you get to decide if you stay or come back.
Bing, 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 bing. You win.
And
that's
what
everything
do you
I
think,
read says that's what's happening.
and what do you think he's probably going to do? I think he's going to stay. And
Well,
what did I tell you is going to make a winner in this game? I said the heroes have a better option at winning if they're willing to become a villain. And I think Jerry picked up on that exact energy.
Well,
that's
what the editing would suggest.
Well, and Jerry certainly figures out. I mean, we're kind of moving on to the next episode, but Jerry figures out immediately that nobody's after him. They're after each other. So all he has to do is figure out who to align with, and he's money.
Yeah. Who's the best side? I'm the swing vote right now, but I'm not in a threatened position if I
you're
play
right.
the right way.
They didn't sell it to him correctly at Tribal. And the other thing that they needed to tell him that they said to each other that I thought was an extremely fair point was, Jerry, you're injured. We know you're never going to quit this game. And if you stay in this game and that injury becomes more severe, we would hate that for you. That's, we want you to be able to walk when you leave this island.
Yep.
Right? They could have, and then like you said, David, saying that this is part of the strategy, you're the only one who do this.
You are our secret agent.
Perfect.
We love you.
It would have been perfect.
And, that's how you play it.
Yeah, we can't send Paige over there and then she's going to end up being able to buddy up with the likes of George. It's never going to happen.
No, that would not have happened.
If you would have had a Boston Rob, that's how he would have handled it.
That's exactly how Rob would have handled it.
You got to do this for the team.
Listen, if the roles were reversed, George would have been doing it.
Yeah. So you know what? Go, Jerry. You do whatever is going to benefit your game.
Everyone's afraid you'll push them down the stairs. Go over there and
spy
it for us.
Oh my goodness.
And the reward challenge is my favorite award, my favorite Aussie Survivor challenge, the Idol knockoff.
That's so fun.
Episode 6, sorry. Yeah.
That's so fun. Jordy, again, God, I love watching Jordy do anything in this game because he just has so much fun.
And charisma.
Yes. And you know, when he's standing up there and he's like, okay, this is a beast that I'm up against, he starts laughing to himself because he knows this is ridiculous. And then when it pans out and he does that like throw and jump move, I looked to my husband, I was like, and this is how you can tell he grew up with a sibling close to his age because that was a brother's move right there.
Well, he's always thinking.
Just do this. Why didn't Sean just do the Statue of Liberty?
Just hold it up.
He could no way could he get up there.
But they could just shove him, throw him off balance. They just need him to rock a little bit.
Sure.
Again, you're trying to move somebody the size of Shaquille O'Neal.
It was a bit like watching a non-violent version of MMA.
Yeah.
like psych him out. But that was a fun challenge.
What did you think of Simon's strategy the second time when he threw the idol up in the air and tried to knock it off before? I think
that Simon
he's not quick enough.
Yeah, and I think that Simon saw what Jordy did and was like, I can do that too.
He's not quick enough.
He's just not quite fast enough.
Simon went twice. He was the only person who went twice, and he lost both. And so it was like, I have to be redeemed. I'll go again.
Yeah, sorry, guy. And you know what? I just want to put this out there. I really wanted to root for Simon. First episode, I was like, I really like this guy, but he's getting doofier and doofus, just doofus town. Not loving it. Not loving
it.
Like,
you know what he's like? He's like Johnny Bravo. He thinks he's the best. He's the best.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And everyone else is just clueless and they don't see him, what he's doing, except they all see.
He's like the back of the island.
here's how I illustrate that. Jerry gets there. Simon is immediately happy because now he's got another number. It's for him. It's like butterflies and sunshine, right? But George is immediately like, I am going to weaponize Gary, and if I can't, I'm sending him home. And you're like, wow, okay. The difference in how they read that situation.
Yeah, immediate, and it was immediate too, like immediate.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And Simon's so ding dong doofus. But anyway.
But they got lasagna. They got a delicious lasagna, heated up, wasn't frozen. So that was a nice change.
Finally a reward without any slap in the face.
Well,
And they got
didn't they get comfort
pictures.
items
No,
too?
right.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be some sort of turn, but there wasn't.
Yeah, they got pictures, and it was super cute how they had all their frames hanging up on the
trees.
hanging up on the trees.
They got a toolkit, so now the Taj Mahal is even better.
I love it because eventually Mitch is going to be able to walk over there and pee where he wants. And pee where as close to the camp as I want.
And I have to say that the items from home really have an impact in this game when you're talking about a 50-day game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're almost merged, so you're probably like day 25 right now. Close.
Mm-hmm. No,
And
they
on
were
top of
day
that-
and so,
And there's what, probably a good-
it's like 15 that.
But there's also a good 2 weeks where they're sort of in sequester too.
Oh,
So
I
before
see.
the game
It's
even starts.
15. Is that where they're at?
Yeah, I think 15 at the end of episode 6.
So they're
Okay.
really they're coming in on the short end of a month, away from home in a really stressful.
I really like
environment.
that they give them a picture besides just the.
Yeah, I
words.
really love that
Just the
because
letter,
rather than the letter, it's the picture. It's up to the player to talk about the person. It gave us a really sweet moment with Paige, talking about her grandma.
It really was.
Yeah.
That was like heartrending.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It didn't make, sometimes when we get stuff from home, I'm like, okay, and sometimes it hits like, like last season when they got their phone calls at the end. There's certain times where it really hits, and this was a good one. It was the right group of people who got the reward and were able to tell their stories, and those who weren't that interesting, they like skipped right over.
Yeah.
Like tidied it up.
George's girlfriend, by the way, is super attractive.
She's beautiful. Well, they got
Yeah.
married. Didn't they get married like shortly after his last season?
Whose girlfriend?
Jordy. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
For sure. So okay, we got lasagna. We've got pictures.
But he
what do
didn't
we
get
got
his
going
picture.
on? He didn't get his.
He
We'll
didn't
see
get his
her.
picture.
We'll see her later. I'm certain. I bet she comes to visit if I'm a betting person.
Mm.
So, okay.
Oh, the most important part of the challenge.
Yes.
At the very end, when they go up against each other, Haley and George, and who picked that pairing?
George did.
Yeah.
Because they picked Haley and George went, I'll go.
Yep.
But how smart was that? Because then Haley had it already in her head that she was going to pass him a message.
Well, no, George walked up and said, can I trust Jerry?
And she's like,
said,
yes. Mm-hmm.
But she didn't answer him until she whispered in his ear afterwards. She said, trust. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So they didn't have to necessarily see that she.
So now he's given her an idle clue. And they're communicating. They're going to align. There's no question in my mind if she makes it to the merge.
But I'm wondering, because of the two of them and both of them being sitting in the finals before and her being a former winner, are they both looking at Jerry as the person they want to bring along to the end? Are they both going to protect him?
They very well could. But I think another interesting question on the...
Haley has no fear of bringing George to the end because he screwed up so monumentally the last time. She'd love to take him to the end.
She's already beaten him. So if it was head-to-head again, it was like...
When I say she beat him by 800% in final count.
And all these people have seen that.
Close.
They've all seen it.
Here's another thought though. Let's throw in the dynamic of who we have currently in the Spice Girl Alliance. Are they going to have even an ounce of toleration at merge for Haley and George chit-chatting? I mean,
I think that's
going to be a problem.
I think Shawnee is going to throw off the Spice Girl Alliance as soon as
I agree.
If she's going to align with the previous players.
Yeah,
because she knows them. She knows their game.
She's going to be the comeback. She's going to be the comeback kid. Like, she's going to rule that. So do you think that she's going to pull Jordy, or do you think Jordy's going to stick over
Jordy
with...
has already making the move to her and George.
Okay.
It's already happening. So they're going to move on to Simon. My guess is next week.
Yeah, he's not long for this game. Jordy's Jordy's and with all the talk about the dynamic tribal we're about to get on Sunday, I would assume that has something to do with it.
Well, that's going to be Meathead tries to play his not idol.
Well,
and Jonathan's gonna be like, dude,
it's gonna be really, really uncomfortable, isn't it? It's gonna be super, super cringe.
How many times is Jordy's telling him oh, it doesn't look like the other ones. It doesn't have a cord. It's a cookie idol. But I
love it. I love it. Again, there's Jordy, right? He's like, I'm kind of letting him know because we're kind of working together, but then also I'm not going to directly let him know that I don't think this is an idol, because this could help me down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? He's keeping his lanes open.
Why don't we finish? We're almost to the end of the episode. Let's finish the episode, then we can just...
We've got, you know what? There wasn't a whole lot of going on. They just decided they needed to focus in on whoever they felt was the least trustworthy. I mean, it was a unanimous vote, and Sarah was on the outs.
Did you notice who sat again, though? Nina. Again.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, she raised her hand and volunteered to sit.
Yep.
But if you look at also
Sandra, if it was a swimming challenge, she'd be like, I'm not even swimming.
Okay, but remember last season when everyone had to volunteer for who they went against, it was always Nina and Sandra against each other. So
she trusts her mom not to hurt her.
Right.
beat me, but please don't hurt me.
She's like, I'm gonna hurt you. No, I won't.
And probably she didn't want anyone to hurt her mom.
How about Ben and Paige? Was it Ben and Paige?
That challenge was amazing. Right?
How smart was that? And they got to do something about that. They should have different puzzles, because it's not fair.
They shouldn't be able to have the same puzzle. Exactly.
But it gave the chance for the villains to pull the villain move, which is to copy.
And they almost did it.
And it was a very exciting a second. Maybe not even a half, maybe like a quarter of a second difference.
Yeah.
That got that win.
Well, because the more you got in, the less you had to grab from. So it just gets faster for each side.
Yeah. Sign language for the win.
Well, and the funny part was Sarah, who went home, is like, I know sign language. If I knew that's what he was doing, I would have picked up on it.
But if you knew it, didn't you see that's what they were doing?
No, because she wasn't paying attention.
She was paying attention to her own sides,
But at one point they weren't doing anything on their sides. They were literally just watching them to see what they did.
They just did stop and watch.
They were just watching. So when they were just watching, weren't they seeing that there was some of this going on?
Well, see, this is where you have to
put any word in. I don't know.
Well, and that's where I think what they should have done is the heroes should have worked left to right, not bottom to top, so they couldn't figure out the words.
There you go. Or at the end
that would be
of
a lot more complicated.
Yeah, there's more chance for them to strip.
At the end of the relay race, instead of just being a flat wall where everyone can look, it should have been maybe at a little bit of an angle, and each team had to stay on their own side.
Okay, so I missed if this was said or not. If they dropped the wrong letter, did they have to drop everything to get that letter out, or could they shimmy it back up?
I think they could try to shimmy it up, but it still would have wasted a lot of time.
Sure, but I'm just saying, oh my gosh, you get really into that, and you start to get anxious because when they were putting the your, he put the here, and they were like, no,
many swear words.
Can you imagine just at the very end dropping one and they go nope, you gotta dump the whole thing and start over. Whew.
Yeah, that's when we get all the muting. The muting would happen.
Okay, because then the team would have known what it was.
Points out the tribal was uneventful. The person, went home on a.
Well, I think the only thing that was eventful for me for tribal was was them saying that they kind of knew she was playing both sides, because I guess I didn't really notice that.
Well, I knew
it seemed that she was with George. I thought exactly. I thought she was absolutely with George.
To Simon, they showed that, but they didn't show Simon and George or Simon and Jordy communicating about it.
Correct. So it didn't look like anything. Oh, what? you know,
But I guess
maybe
they got
he's
to
just
keep
seeing.
some sort of mystery there.
And it could have been just Simon trying to get her over as a number, but her not going for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be careful because you do have to make sure that everybody is like cool with you. I mean, you can't have somebody come over and be like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of our alliance?" And then go, "Oh no, I already have one. Thank you." Like you can't do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you got to like that is a really difficult thing to manage where you go, "Okay, yeah, yeah, for sure." But if that person talks to the other person that came over and brought it up to you, it doesn't take long for them to go like, "Oh, she's playing both sides," even if you're not really
Right.
playing both sides.
Or, ooh, he's making fake idols. He must have an idol.
Exactly. Again,
What?
sometimes we are
Yeah.
just looking for any excuse because somebody has to go.
And I don't know
Right.
that she was particularly amazing in the challenges any more than
No,
anyone
no, she was
else.
a
So,
standout performer. So
yeah. So I think that anytime you realize in your gut that you're not going to trust someone, no matter what, no, you've decided they're not trustworthy. Let them
and
go. They got to
again,
go.
I'm just
That's why George. I can't believe he's.
I also just have to say I hate to throw those girls under the bus. But they were kind of the
What?
ones that really instigated the idea of her going. They're the ones
Oh,
who
I thought you
kind
were
of
going to say
at least
pageant girls.
well what we got to see in the edit at the very least was two girls going, yeah, we could get rid of her. Like,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Honestly, she didn't get a lot of camera time. Like they didn't even
No.
try to like. There must have been nothing because at
She
least
was
with
not
Rogue.
particularly likable, I didn't think.
But I think at least with
Well,
Rogue,
the
they
guys
found
all
something
said
to
she was
show.
lovely. All of the
Well,
men
because
thought
she's
she was
lovely,
lovely.
but
That means I don't think that.
dudes are going to fall for that every
Okay,
time.
I'm just gonna say the guys were like, she's lovely, and the girls were like, we can get rid of her.
Yep.
That's how it happened. I'm calling it now. That's what the
Because here's
power
the thing.
struggle
You know
was
what?
right
You
there.
can say it's like that kind of not mean girl thing, but the thing where the girls go after the pretty girl or something. And
Yep.
if she was just the pageant girl, but she was down there with them like getting what
Yeah.
but it's she's a little too comfortable with the guys.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that's the problem.
Right.
She's going to use
Yep.
that to her advantage and get the guys on her side, and she's not really with us. So
Yeah. We can't
I don't think
trust
it
that
was just
she's
'cause
with us. Yeah. Yeah.
right. So I don't. If she'd
And
been
again,
played
somebody's
differently,
got to
then
go. You know.
So,
And
so I think
if she's not bringing home the bacon, they can't afford to. They can't afford to lose any comp beasts right now. Let's just say that.
Mm-mm.
it may now be time to tally the votes on Jonathan's final.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Before we tally the votes, David, can you please give out the email address really quick so we know that we have that out? If you have any questions or comments or thoughts of your own that you want to share, please email us. Theories.
Tally the votes, CH, no spaces, at gmail.com. Tally the votes, CH at gmail.com.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
if I practiced, I could sign it, but no.
We could sign it.
Late.
Question, comment,
you that is your homework for next week, Kristi.
I gotta learn it now.
Email address.
But I would like to say that there may be a very definite difference between Australian Sign Language and American Sign Language.
Yes, I thought of that as well. I wasn't seeing what they were doing, and listen. I'm not adept at sign language. I was just joking.
Well, but now you do have a project. Homework.
But I do know some letters, and I know a few things. But it didn't look. I wasn't recognizing anything. But
I wasn't seeing like a lot of A's and B's and C's. I was seeing like N. You know, I think it's a little different. Like they count on a finger, maybe. I'm not sure.
Maybe I don't know. You would think like when you could have
email us. Do you know?
You could
do you know the difference?
have
email
an
us.
international language, sign language, because it wouldn't. Why didn't they just make it all the same?
We asked that question about so many things.
Gosh, we'd have the
just
internet. We could all know it. I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to work on their tally the vote section of all of this, and this is where we're going to go through. We're going to lay out what Jonathan's last words for each tribal, and we are going to take a vote. We're going to tally those votes on which is the best. So,
yeah.
Who has the first one? Do you want to read them all, David, or I have them on hand if you do not?
I got the
this is David's favorite.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Great. Jonathan said, "This may be a team of heroes, but sometimes a hero can go rogue."
Gotta
Very
use the.
well
I mean, the
played.
names
That
there.
one
The
was really
names
that was
there.
Very well
excellent.
played.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
What's
The
2?
second
What do we
one,
got?
Go ahead.
You better hope for his sake it's not Mission Impossible.
Oh, I mean, you spy, little playing on the spy. You sent one of your own on a
But,
mission.
but the third one is super clever,
Okay.
I thought. This game is all about timing. Move out of step with the tribe and you might take a fall.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because she pushed the person.
or allegedly. She said she didn't.
But
Listen,
it was still a great.
America knows all of the Nancy Kerrigan drama of these situations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so ladies, let's hear the votes.
You know what? I'm going to go with the first one because though the third one is good, I feel like it took a misstep in the fact that it kind of spoke about it like a dance number, not a modeling or.
I agree with you on. I would also say number one, but because of how she had pretended that she was the hero, and not everybody on the hero's tribe was a hero, but you know what I mean. And then he twisted it that the hero went rogue. But so I thought that was clever.
Yeah, I like the double thing he did there. Like she wasn't a hero at all.
Yeah, she was not a hero.
I think we're unanimous on this one. I think.
Okay,
all right.
That
was
clever.
a really
extra
special, clever one.
Was awful.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good. And the third one was clever, but he could have done a little better.
I mean, the third one was like average.
Right.
Yeah. Like average.
Like okay, that's but the first one was like.
I do have to say, all three are better than anything Probst would come up with.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it. He doesn't do that. It's not his gimmick.
I mean,
well, because Probst likes to ask the players to come up with the witty.
He used to say clever things because you'd see him get that little. He really did. He would come up with clever things.
The second he put on those New Balance shoes, it was done.
And then he would like have that little gleam in his eye, that little smile, where he was like, you know what I'm saying?
That pot stirring.
But he doesn't do that anymore, really.
Yep. He doesn't have that. Jonathan's king of clever now. He owns the title.
He's not a pot stir anymore.
He really does.
Else.
If they ever do a AU versus US season, I hope they use Jonathan.
I would be down.
I'm gonna guess
I want
Probst
them to
never allow that.
I want them to each have their own tribe and be the coaches of their tribe and be in charge of the opposite team's tribals.
And then you have Rob or Sandra or somebody coming to be the host.
I'm going to tell you right now, Jonathan would totally do it. He'd be game for whatever. There's no way Probst do that because he would never put himself in a position where he would lose. Because he thinks he is king of Survivor. It's him.
Yep,
it's all
true.
him. He would
he's
never
the birth.
jeopardize that.
He is the birth, and he has his own titles to hold,
and he's not going to lose
without a
that.
doubt. No,
so you don't even compete.
So what's next? Oh, I know. And now the Tally the Vote hosts will announce their Survivor AU Players of the Week.
All right. I have one player of the week.
Kristi's got to go first.
Oh, I got to go first?
You can sign in if you want. I won't know what you're doing, but.
I always so I have to say Jerry.
Yeah.
Only because he said it in one of his little confessionals was that up until this point they weren't really letting him play the game. On top of that, he did have his foot injury, but now he is so in the game. His game did a 180. People are listening to him. They're talking to him now.
Increased his odds.
So yeah, like come on, he's had the best showing of increasing his level where he's at. I don't think that's a horrible pick. I think next week it might even be more substantial. Mine for this week on the same thread is actually going to be Paige. Because she put herself out there for her tribe. She put herself in a really great position in buying brownie points and loyalty. Like the kind that will stick with her when they have to merge. Yeah.
All right, I can buy that. Mine is different. I'm actually between two people. I'm between George, who I think is playing masterful, and I'm not surprised.
He's
And
doing
and
good.
this week, Jordy, because I love what he's doing. He's hanging back.
He is just so delightful.
So my pick for this week is Jordy because I think he's having fun. I think he's out there and he's not playing the Joker thing up a heck of a lot. That may come, but right now I think he's made Merge, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Jordy's the guy. Like I'll say it forever and a day. I loved watching his game his first season. I'm loving watching his game this second. I'm so glad he's in it again. He's a good player. He's fun to watch. He has a really hilarious personality and a great attitude most of the time.
He's like super cheeky and fun and and cute.
Yeah, especially now that his hair is his hair's maintained a little better. He's done some work,
I think
he's done a little work. I mean, you know what? One thing that Australia definitely has is minimal complaints on the work everybody puts in on their physical features when they walk onto that island. Shoo.
Yeah.
Shoo.
Do we even have to do worst player of the week? Because I think we're going to be unanimous on this.
You just announce it. We are.
I can't see anybody who played worse than Rogue.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
You got somebody else? Really?
Well, no, I think there's arguments for other people because she's not in the game anymore. So yeah, she got voted out.
I'm saying it's the worst player of the week. So
Simon is setting himself up to be the obvious next candidate.
Simon is a definite
Sam played pretty bad, I think, with the kick and Jerry to the curb.
And I think honestly, something can be said for Haley as well for deciding to throw a challenge. Like, don't do that to your tribe. Will it affect your long term? It's a loser move, is it not?
Here's the thing.
I don't love it, but
I don't love it. It's a loser move.
I also do kind of want to just hand out the props there because we were talking about this earlier. Sean having to throw everybody off the track that he's got info, he's got benefit now, and not letting his own people know about it.
Yeah.
And continuing to go out looking, and he did that pretty good. Sometimes they don't.
Right.
Because there's, they could why aren't you looking as hard? No, he's
we
out there.
We've got a great plot line that's developing there. We know we're getting a plot line between Simon and Jordy. Obviously, one with Jerry and George. Guys, it's going to be a fun season.
If Jerry has the opportunity to go back, does anyone think he does?
No. I think he stays put.
I don't know. I think the editing so far has made it like he won't, but I wonder if he'll take that information that makes him powerful again back at the other camp.
No, he stays with the villains.
I think he stays. And he'll have to do a little bit of work with his lady when they merge. But she'll be like, you know what? I don't blame you.
Because she was mad. Haley's going to flip immediately. Haley's going with George and him immediately at merge.
Yeah. So he's staying. He's so staying.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, guys, I think that we've pretty much covered everything on this week. I'm so looking forward to this next episode. I love a dramatic tribal. Who doesn't? If you don't love drama tribals, then you don't love this show. Period.
I mean, Survivor 3 times a week already.
Sam or Simon going home, so it's going to be doubly delicious.
Yeah. It's going to be good fun. It's going to be good fun. So in the meantime, we're going to get tuned in to watch that. If you have any questions, again, send us that email. We will be here again next Thursday at the same time.
When Kristi will sign our entire
She is going to be our interpreter for the evening. She's going to have it down. She's going to do her studying.
And if she doesn't, we're going to mock her and ridicule
her. No!
We would never push our own beauty queen down the stairs. Ever.
Our podcast is not closed captioned, so I'm going to guess we don't have a lot of deaf watchers, but maybe we do.
Probably not.
So
that
if anyone wants to email us a video of signing tally the votes ch at gmail.com, we will play it.
Do you know how to do that?
I don't know. Figure it out.
He knows how to. He knows people. We'll have to get in touch with
people who know things.
We'll get in touch with our production company.
Our
great
company?
Producer.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. In the meantime, You guys can find me at Twitter. That's about the only place I am right now, besides right here, and I'll be here next Thursday. Kristi, David, where can everyone find you?
Well, just on the
Here.
Twitter at the moment.
All right.
But,
Right here.
Yeah.
Right here. Kristis,
Right
don't
here,
follow
right
me.
here.
Don't follow me
I
anywhere
mean,
else. I like a
little-
private life. Who are you, weirdos? Like,
a
just
little,
leave me alone.
a little call out in like 3 weeks, Canadian Big Brother. I'm thinking about it.
Yep, it's starting to
Yeah.
happen, and we've got all of the cast release for the next season of American Survivor. It is going to be a reality show frenzy,
Bonanza. Oh,
a bonanza of bakery goods,
I may even
Cooked.
watch.
cooked and uncooked.
oh,
I may even watch it.
savory and sweet. All right.
Savory and sweet. All right,
All right.
guys, thanks a whole heck of a lot. We'll see you next Thursday.
All right.
Hey guys. Bye.